Muse, you okay? You good? Lori?
She
She's
fell
still going.
asleep.
I was muted. Sorry.
That's okay.
My bad. I was trying to click it off. I was like, why is it not working? Okay.
All right, so we're back with Tommy Faircloth. Felissa Rose will be joining us soon. Um, man, how you doing, Tommy?
I am good. How are you guys doing?
We're great. We're happy to have you on. Great film. We are so excited to dig into it with you. Um,
Thanks.
I always like to ask, how did this come to fruition?
The story,
Yeah.
the film. Well, you know, with all my stories in the past, all the movies that I've done, it's really weird. They all come differently. Sometimes I'll run up on a location and think this would be a cool spot for a movie. Sometimes I'll come up with a title. It's just it just depends. But this one in particular, I actually stumbled across this really cool old Art Deco jail that had a demolition permit on it. And when I saw this was in Beaufort, South Carolina, I was like, oh man, it would suck if this place gets torn down without getting it on film because it's such a cool location. And so right then I started coming up with an idea for a story. I didn't get the location, but by then I, already pretty much got half the story down, and I had to find a new jail. So when I found this new jail, it had this big stained glass window, real gothic looking. I was like, I think I could do this. Maybe instead of it being about a warden, which was the original idea, I said I could make it about a nun that worked at the jail. And Felissa's been a friend of mine forever, and I was like, this will be a great return for her, as a villain role. And that's just kind of where it started.
Well, that's one of the questions that I had is where it was filmed at, because it was a real prison, right? And
Yeah.
it was just abandoned, and where was it?
Well, it's in a small town in South Carolina called Orangeburg, and the actual building itself, it's got like a historic, registered placard on it. It was built in the early 1800s. I think Sherman had used it at one point as like offices, and but I don't think it had been used as an actual jail since the early 70s.
Wow.
So but yeah, it's literally a three-level jail. The middle level the owner actually uses as a gym. So it worked out great for us because we had rooms for makeup and wardrobe and craft service, all that type of stuff, which we usually don't have such really cool settings for this when you're in the middle of nowhere. So you don't see that in the film, but yeah, it worked out. It's a pretty cool location. It's pretty scary though.
So I'm gonna pass it on over to Muse. I'm sure she's got some questions for you. Go ahead, lady.
Okay. Hey, Tommy. How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Pretty good. So I read that Sleepaway Camp was your favorite slasher. Is that how you connected initially with Felissa Rose?
Oh yeah. It was.
Wait, Tommy, wait, something's going on here. There's evil spirits that are invading our show. There's an evil nun
I see it.
coming in. Oh my goodness.
Hey,
Hey, Felissa, how are you?
good. It's actually Felissa. It's
Felissa.
like
Melissa. You know, it's my thing that I do, and I always mess up everybody's name. It's just my
It's
thing.
okay. All good.
When I meet you in person, you kick me right in the nuts, or mangle something, mangle one of my appendages. All right.
Okay, got it.
So
I'm good at that.
right. So I'm gonna pass. Muse, go ahead and I'm sorry, Tommy, go ahead and continue your answer there. I'm sorry to.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Sleepaway Camp was one of the first films I can remember watching as a youngster that really shocked me, like especially the ending. And it's just something that always stood out. And so I loved it. I love it. It's, I'm a big fan of the slasher genre anyway. And I think that was probably the first one beside, like Friday the 13th that kind of stuck with me. And so for years and years, I've always, been obsessed with the movie.
Mhm.
And so when I finally got to meet Felissa, we were at a horror convention together. She was literally at the table next to mine. And I didn't talk to her the whole weekend until like the last day. And I finally went up to her. I was there promoting a movie I did called Dollface. And I was like, Felissa, I just wanted, to let you know I'm a huge fan. I was like totally fanboying out, geeking.
No, you weren't. We were like best friends from the second we met.
Yeah, we did. Like we hit it off really great. And the cool thing about it is that story I actually filmed, and it's on the behind the scenes on the DVD of Nun's Curse too, how we met. So it's really cool. We met over Fireball, and after that, it was
Fireball.
we're best friends.
Nice.
That's
That
right.
that is awesome. Okay, I have a quick question for Felissa. So could you tell, I love Nun's Curse. I'm a huge fan of Sleepaway Camp. So could you tell us about any funny behind the scenes, pretty memorable moments from a Nun's Curse and Sleepaway Camp?
Sleepaway Camp is a hard one because I was really 13. And all I truthfully remember is that it was so fun and I loved everyone. We were like a big family as soon as we got to set. Everyone was really a teenager. I mean, we all ranged. I was the youngest, I was 13, and the rest of the cast was like 15 to 17. And it was like going to camp. So we just had the most incredible time. But my, favorite memories from films like Family Possessions or Nun's Curse is that as as much fun as it is to make horror, because it is the greatest, they're the greatest movies to make. And Tommy is like the coolest director. He's really an actor's director. He collaborates and talks to you about the character, and he's really in there with you. Sometimes directors just kind of say, okay, let go. But he's very much involved with you, and that always makes the actor feel so awesome, because it's like you want that camaraderie and that safety net. But it's always when we wrap that we have the best times, because we go out and Tommy and I have been known to, throw back a couple of drinks. And I just remember from A Nun's Curse, we went to this one restaurant like both nights that I was there, and it's just family time, and you let loose, and there's nothing better than to have that kind of love amongst the whole group.
Yeah, definitely. When you connect with somebody, there is nothing like that connection. I know we experienced that on the podcast, so I know exactly what you're talking about when there's just that instant click, for sure. I'm going to pass it. I enjoyed talking to you. I know that we're kind of crunched for time. I have like a ton of questions, so if you ever come back on, I have like a ton more.
Yay,
Yes,
definitely.
definitely. I think you're awesome, and I enjoyed talking to you as well, Tommy. I'm going to pass it over to Chris the Creature ZZ. I know he's got some great questions.
Hey, Tommy. Hey, Felissa. It is a pleasure to be with both of you today.
Thank you. Great to be
Thank
here.
you.
Hey, a little bit of trivia. We have a viewer tonight, a very beautiful woman who happens to be my wife. And Tommy, I want to direct the first question to you. We might be related. I married the former Janine Faircloth. And I don't know if you have any North Carolina relatives, but in case we are related, we'll go real easy on you.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I meet a lot of people with the last name Faircloth from North Carolina, but I don't know of any. But I meet people all the time with that last name. It's crazy.
I guess we're all related when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Hey, Felissa, I got a question for you. I'm a big fan. I, of course, saw Sleepaway Camp, and I also saw Camp Dread, Death House, a number of movies. And I'm looking at you right now, and I'm struck because in this movie, A Nun's Curse, not to be confused with the Ingrid Bergman movie, The Nun, The Nun Story, you're the monster. They do special effects. They do makeup. I don't know if you saw the movie Count Yorga, but when he jumps out of that closet, it's like in 3D, even though the movie's not in 3D. And that's you in this movie. But I remembered there are a lot of scenes in this movie where we're flashing back to your visit to death row inmates. And even though you're not made up, even though you don't have the veins on your face, you're still horrifying. It's that look on your face. It's the way you stare. And I'm looking at you now. That can't be easy. I don't know if Tommy was doing something to get you to contort, but was that easy
just
to
the
do?
way it's just getting up in the morning. It's like, go to set and shoot it, and you'll look perfect. That's it. No makeup needed, no lights. No, I think when you're really invested in a character and you come to set and you're, really trying to portray the character as best as you can, and especially this particular evil and maniacal kind of character, you want to really, I feel like I always get so deeply in there that, no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm playing a man, a woman, a crazy person, a sweet person, you're always kind of like you exude all of that energy and all of that. And I think that's really, it talks about how great Tommy is, it's like he captured that and that's all him. So he just kind of said, go, and there I went.
I was impressed because we're talking to Tommy, we're talking to Felissa. You guys did a great job. We should be remiss. There were other actors and actresses in this movie who did a fantastic job.
Yep.
And I'm just picturing them. They're young. They haven't been around as long as any of us, but they do a fantastic job. And I don't know if they were in awe of you or if they're just natural actors, but they created their characters so well. I mean, we wanted Anthony to die horribly from the start.
Right.
He did too. No.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's a real nice guy. But talk about them a little bit, because I know that they also did a fantastic job. And you had, Tommy, you had to corral them all in, and they probably showed up at the set in awe. But let's give them a little plug as well.
Yeah, well, the lead in the lead, Erica, the girl in the film, the younger sister of the two. Actually, her and Felissa had both worked together in my last film, Family Possession, so they were familiar with each other. And I worked with all of these actors except Damien, who played Anthony. I knew Damien. We had worked with mutual, friends, and so I kind of met him that way. And as I got to know him, I kind of wrote a lot of the characters, little smart alecky attitude around him, because he's like that,
Yeah.
Which is what I do. I like to get to know someone and then cast them and write their roles based on that. But yeah, everybody, they loved Felissa when she was there shooting, and I think she brings the whole set up. She never gets tired. She's never, unhappy about anything. I wish I had that, some days. But yeah, they had worked. A couple of them had worked with her before.
Well, Tommy, Felissa, it was a true pleasure. I am an admirer of your work, Tommy and Felissa, and keep up the great work. And I'm going to pass it over to my buddy Harv.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Felissa. How you doing?
Hey.
Good. How are you?
Good. It's a pleasure to speak with both of you. Tommy, I'll start with you real quick. And my question for you is, I really enjoyed the twist, and I'm sure a lot of us did as well. I'm not asking you to give that away, but when you wrote it, was that something you had in mind at the beginning, or is that something that built as you started shooting and kind of figured, okay, this is what we're going to go with?
No, I totally had that. I had it planned out. And it was, all my films, I always like to have some kind of weird little twist ending. And that's probably due to the fact, again, my love for slasher films, that would always end with, oh, there's going to be a sequel. There's going to be and so that plus, just trying to make it feel like a Twilight Zone episode almost, like when you think it's over, but it's not over, it's something else. Some people like it. Some people, they hate it. They feel like it gyps them, but I liked it. So.
No, it certainly made the film stand out. I mean, besides obviously Felissa's great performance, I really enjoyed the twist, and it really kind of makes the movie separate from a lot of the usual things you see.
Yeah.
Felissa, pleasure getting to speak with you. I've seen you on Instagram and your Instagram lives. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I know that that's a crazy thing, and it's great that you do that for horror fans. Been watching you, and Doug Bradley has done it as well. So I've been watching you guys both.
Yeah, I've been watching Doug as well. Yeah.
And he speaks highly of you as well. My question for you is basically, I've seen you now in Rotwood, For Jennifer. We know you're coming up in Terrifier. You've been doing Joe Bob, and a whole long list of things coming up. How do you decide on these roles? How do you narrow it down, or do you just do everything that's thrown at you?
No. No, and for me, it's sort of circling back to the beginning of, the question with having that camaraderie and collaboration on set. a lot of the movies that I do are working with the same director, like Tommy or Harrison Smith or Thomas Churchill, Dave Canfield. Adam Green. I kind of just find my love with these people, and I love working with them. So certainly when I read their material, I love the characters that they send me. And so I mostly like to work with the, people I'm comfortable with, because when you're making a horror movie, it's on set, you want to kind of use that playground as a place where you can do anything, try anything. So it's always great to work with people you love and you're familiar with. And definitely the roles that I've been offered now in my 50s and recently in the past 7 or 8 years, they're just great. They're wild characters. I mean, it's been so much fun creating these, new people. And that's really what happens. I read the script, and then it depends on who I'm working with. And it's been just very exciting, and I'm very grateful for it.
Awesome. Yeah, your character in Rotwood was very interesting. I did not expect that once you came on the scene there. So that was a lot of fun.
That was crazy, and that was really exciting. She was very sophisticated, and then, not to give the ending away, another twist ending was just outrageous. And the director, Marcel Waltz, we just wanted me to go crazy. So I was like, okay, you tell me when to stop. And he's like, you could never go too much. So
awesome. Thank you both. And I'm going to pass it on to Casey.
Thank you. This is fun. Hi, Casey.
Hi, how are you? Felissa, it's so awesome to meet you. And Tommy, I have a question for both of you. I grew up in the South in Alabama. I actually lived in New York City for 16 years in Greenwich Village, which is where you grew up, right, Felissa?
Yes, that's where awesome. I was born.
That's where you were born. That's badass. I lived on West 4th and Bank Street. And I've moved back to Nashville, but I understand the heat. And I just have a question about this building that you were in. And what time of year was this filmed? Was it in the summertime? I hope it wasn't, just for the sake of the both of you. What was that like?
It was actually around October. So it was in the fall.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. That's better.
Even though it's in the fall, it's still, 90 degrees every day.
Yeah.
I remember Damien, he flew in from Maine. And so the first day we're on the set, he's got that leather jacket on and it's, 95 degrees. And he's like, I do not understand this weather. He literally was dying. And I was like, oh, that's normal. It's the South, it's like this at Christmas. But yeah, it was a hot time, but it was also hurricane season. We went through 2 hurricanes while we were shooting this.
Oh my gosh.
And actually the basement flooded in the prison we were using. And so I had to get in there with someone and kind of get a wet dry vac and suck up water so we could, lay lights and lines down and so people wouldn't get electrocuted. But
oh my gosh.
You kind of forget about all that once it's done because you're just so happy to have the movie in the can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty warm. It was pretty, especially for Felissa. She's got on all these layers and layers.
Gosh, yeah.
Especially when
I don't remember it being too hot though. I don't remember being warm.
Well, the middle section that we kind of hung out in had air conditioning, so I think that helped. But when we were either in the basement or the jail cells, it was pretty dusty and hot.
I just remember the vodka in the refrigerator in the kitchen area.
Yeah, we had lots of that.
Okay. That's good to know.
Can't go wrong there.
Always a fun time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the entire time I was watching it, I kept thinking, they've got to be dying. They've got to be dying. They've got to be dying. But where was the scene outside in the beginning, the ruins? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it's an old church located. It's kind of outside Beaufort, South Carolina. It's about an hour or so away from the jail. But it's really cool location. And actually, maybe a week or so after we shot there, the owners put a fence around the place.
Oh.
Which we got it just in the nick of time.
Right.
And then we also lost a drone there as well. We got some really cool shots, and it just went into a tree and died. I wasn't able to save any of it. I got a couple of good shots out of it, but yeah, but I forgot the name of it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's in the credits, but yeah, it's really cool. It's very Roman looking with these huge columns. And
yeah, it's beautiful. That's awesome. All right, well, I'm going to pass it back to Ken. I know he's dying to ask you some more questions.
Yeah. Well, great stuff. So, Tommy, I got to ask, what's next for you? What's the next film you're going to be working on?
Well, I mean, I've got a few ideas and things that because I'll start an idea, then I'll write it, and then I'll move on to something else. But I think the next one that I will do, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I did a short film called The Cabin, and it's basically kind of like a catfish type story. Two people meet online, and they go off into this fun weekend in the cabin. Anyway, it was a cool short film I did, and it was really well received. And there's always been a lot more to the story, a lot more depth to it, and I've always wanted to write it into a feature. And it's something I've actually talked with Felissa about a lot. And I think that might be the next project I do, unless something else comes along. But that's what I'm working on right now.
Very exciting. I can't wait to see what it is. I love the way you shot this film. And Chris kind of mentioned the young actors that you had. Obviously, you brought in some star power with Ms. Rose here. But you give the other actors really gave, especially the main actress there, the younger girl. I forgot her name. The character. Yeah, Erica. She was really, really good. Like, I was loving it. Yeah, so hopefully you can assemble a really good, strong cast again for your next film. So, Felissa Rose, I have a question for you, and I'm not like making fun of you at all or anything, but do you ever
You
get
can make fun of me. I'm cool.
do you ever get tired of doing the face?
Never. In fact, people have asked me that, and my answer that I will always give is I will be sad the day people stop asking me to make the face. I will cry. That will be the Sleepaway Camp gave me an entire life. It's the fabric of my world, and I'm so thankful. I will never be able to say that enough, because my husband was the biggest fan. I married him because of his love, well, not because of it, but certainly it's what brought us together. And just being in this genre that I love so dearly, and meeting people like Tommy Faircloth, or the Terrifier guys, or Adam Green, anything that's happened has always come back to Sleepaway Camp. So I'm just really grateful for that.
Well, excellent stuff. I mean, I love, and I watch a lot of the stuff that you do, and I see a lot of pictures of fans, and they send them to you, and you're always doing. It's just, you bring so much joy with that simple expression, right? That is, right? And I can't wait, to meet you in person. I haven't had the opportunity yet, but I do all these conventions. I just have never got to meet you yet, and I can't wait to do that. So I'm sure you've done your rounds of podcasts and interviews and stuff like that. What are some of the strangest questions that you get asked?
Oh, wow.
I know there's one that popped in your head. There's got to be one that.
I know, you saw that light go off. Sometimes they ask me about my penis, and I will always say, well, I know it's bigger than yours. And
oh, geez.
I have a lot of fun with people. They'll ask me, they know the truth, but they'll ask about where the curling iron really went with beauty. And I'm an open book, and I love to have fun and be playful. And there's, I have no problem answering anything, whether it's, funny question, serious question about my life or any of the films I've made. But a lot of really good, thoughtful questions have come my way. And it's always great to answer them. I love it. I love it.
I can only imagine, because of the subject matter and what you are, what that scene that had made you who you are today. And I just respect the fact that you give back to the fans so much, and that's awesome. I couldn't wait to get you on the show, and I'm so happy that you're here. And I do want to ask you about The Nun's Curse. When we're watching, and Chris kind of mentioned this a little bit as well, there's a couple scenes where there's flashbacks of when you're just a nun and you're doing the last rites or whatever. And then you get where you're the demon nun or whatnot. When you look at yourself in the mirror and the makeup, do you ever get scared? Like, oh my God, this is awesome. I don't recognize myself. What's your reaction?
That's so funny. That's a great question, because normally, no, I don't really even like to watch myself in any movie just because I don't know. It's just weird. Like whenever I come on screen, I always like look away. But I have to, and I don't even think I've said this to Tommy. The nun, it kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
The makeup was so well done, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the amazing Tony Rosen and Sean Krumholtz who did the makeup on me. They're so, they're just amazing talent. And yes, this is the first time I've seen a character where I went, "Ooh, that is scary." Yes.
Yeah.
And
For
the funny
sure.
thing is when she was the demon nun, as you said, the contacts she had in
That's why.
made her completely blind. She couldn't even see to walk.
Oh,
And
man.
so one of the funny stories, let's kind of go back to when you guys had asked her some funny stories that had happened. You know, that last shot in the film where she turns around in front of the stained glass window
Yeah.
and screams. It took us about 6 times to do that because she couldn't see where the camera was.
Oh.
And so she would turn around, but she would go too much and like actually be facing the wall. And
Oh, man.
we were just kind of laughing because it's like, you look like Mr. Magoo, you know, you don't see anything. So I think the last take is the one we got. But yeah, she really couldn't see anything when she was at
No, I was it was all dark. Couldn't see a thing. It was interesting also to act that way. I'd never worn the sclera lenses. You cannot see. So it was interesting to act without that sense, you know, just because I rely so much on, I mean, obviously my sight and being able to kind of work in that capacity. But yeah, it was crazy.
It was great. I liked watching Felissa eat, you know, lunch in full nun makeup as well. She got like a salad, you know, with all this makeup and her teeth are all blacked out.
We've
it was
heard
so much fun.
we've heard great stories in past interviews of wardrobe lunches, you know, and how bad they go sometimes, and I can only imagine. So listen, I am very excited to see what role you have in Terrifier 2. That movie, I love it. I absolutely love it. David H. Thornton, awesome dude. He was one of our first guests that we had on, and I just cannot wait to see what's in store. And I don't want to ask anything because I want to be surprised. Hopefully you don't get split in half or anything like that. But but it'd be all right if you did, and you're making your face at the same time. That would be pretty rad.
Yeah.
So upside down. Listen, on behalf of Where the Scary Things Are, we are just so excited to have you on our first live show on YouTube. Thank you so much, you guys. We will look forward to seeing what is in store for the future. And if you guys want to just shout out your fans and where they can find you on social media, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us on. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Horse Creek Productions, and you can also find it by the title of the film, A Nun's Curse. And that's pretty much it.
And I want to say thank you as well. And Tommy, I love you. And I appreciate you having us. And I'm all over social media. Twitter is Felissa_Rose. Instagram, I'm always on Felissa Rose 123. And I'm on Facebook, Felissa Rose Esposito Miller, because I just have to be annoying.
All right, guys. Take care. We'll catch you in the next show. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
That was awesome.
Oh.
All right, check it out. I'm gonna bring Amanda in right now. Okay. You guys good? That was good. That was good stuff, right?
We're still live. Oh, hey, we're still live. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I will stop. No, we're not.
It says live on the top of my screen.
Oh, that's okay.